This is the Haibike XDURO Race for 2015, and it is awesome. I think it's the only electric bike I've seen to date with drop bars that so closely resembles an actual road bike. You can see it's even got these aero style wheel sets, deep dish. It's phenomenal. It's neat to see how tightly that they can integrate the motor and the battery pack on this thing, and it blends in. And I mean, it's a beautiful bike if you just kind of look at it. I really appreciate what they've done here with this, and kept the weight low and center, and really driven towards performance with this setup. So I might just jump in to some of the specs here and kick things off. So it's a 6061 aluminum gravity cast frame. It's not the lightest road bike you're going to find, in part because it's got that 8.8 pound battery pack, and it's like a 6 pound motor there, so it adds to it. This is about 40 pounds total weight wise. It's got Shimano Ultegra 11 speed cassette in the rear, and only one ring up front, and that's for a couple reasons. All of the Bosch systems that I've seen to date only have that front chain ring, and they have a couple different sizes, and it kind of depends on the bike that you're getting, but they optimize it in this case for road riding and higher speeds, and that ring spins a little bit faster. And by not having two rings, well, you only have one derailleur, and it just sort of reduces the overall complexity of the bike and keeps the motor simpler. 11 speeds is still pretty good, and with that extra boost from the motor and pedal assist, I personally, I'm not like a pro road bike rider or anything, but it's it's more than most Bosch systems. A lot of them have like 9 or 10 speeds, so 11's pretty good here. And quality components, the nice hanger down there, quick release on the rear wheel and the front wheel, and that's kind of cool because a lot of electric bikes, they don't have quick release at the rear because they've got like a hub motor or something like the Specialized Turbo or like the Stromer ST2. They have a hub motor, and so it's not as balanced, and it takes a little bit more effort to service the bike. So what we've got in terms of braking is disc with 2 levers. Check that out. Cane Creek cross top, TRP right here for the drop bars, 180 millimeter rotor in the front, 160 in the rear. They work really well. You only need a couple fingers to activate those. And again, I love that it's just a cool setup all around. So anyway, got the disc brakes. They've included a kickstand, which is kind of foreign on a lot of road bikes, but it's a cool design. It's a Pletscher kickstand, and whenever you move the bike, like you just kind of pick it up, kickstand kicks itself up. I don't know if that's a European thing or whatever, but keep that in mind, because you might think, oh, I'm just moving it, and then let the bike fall over. So you wouldn't want to have that happen. That'd be kind of a sad day. I mentioned the wheels earlier. It's like 700 by 28C. Totally, road bike style here. Real narrow, real fast and firm. No suspension on this, so the ride's going to be like a little bit bumpier, especially because this is an aluminum frame too. You're not benefiting from like vibration dampening carbon or something, but this is going to have enhanced strength for handling this motor. And you can see the motor mounting plate right here. That's where the motor mounts. This plastic piece is kind of just for show. It's like a bash guard surrounding the motor for protection. The motor is inside. It's a little bit smaller, and it offers 350 watts of geared power. It's a really sweet system. This is Bosch's 2nd generation centerdrive, and this is actually their speed performance model, which is really cool. This can actually go up to 28 miles per hour. Most of their systems only go to 20, but Haibike has 2 bikes that are the speed pedelec, the Race and the Super Race. The Super Race has just straight bars, whereas this one has the drop bars, so that's kind of worth keeping in mind. The battery pack right here, it's called the Power Pack 400. It's actually like 396 watt hours. They round it to 400 for marketing purposes, but it offers 36 volts of power and 11 amp hours of capacity, which is a touch above average, and especially combined with that center drive approach, because you're really leveraging the gears in the back, and that creates efficiency. It's not just the motor spinning at one speed at all the times with like a hub motor. So that's kind of cool. And the range on this thing is up to, if not past, 65 miles per hour, or miles total. which is pretty fantastic. And that's legit. Like, I've tested these with, you know, more ride time and off-road and some of the like trail high bikes, the FS 27.5 in particular, and I've actually gone like 65 plus miles per charge, you know, like it's crazy. Not all in one trip, that'd be a long ride, but it's with something like this that's so efficient. I mean, you might only have to charge that battery every, you know, couple of rides depending on how far you go, but I would recommend topping it off like after every ride, just kind of keeping it full, because if you run it all the way out, that's hard on the battery pack. And also it's a removable pack, so take it inside, you know, keep it in neutral temperatures. Extreme heat is really bad for batteries, including if it's like a hot day and you're overworking the thing. You know, it's designed to stay cool, but just keep that in mind. And also extreme cold is tough on it. So it's got a lock here by Abus. It's good technology. You can actually see how full the battery is right there, the LED indicator, whether it's on or off the bike. Here's the charging port right there. What I found is that, you know, sometimes if you're taking a bike on your bike rack, on your car, or on a bus or something, you know, there's those hangers that hang the bike. You take that battery pack off and the bike weighs less, and that's going to make it easier to transport with other bikes or just carry upstairs or something. So I love the removable battery design. Also makes getting a replacement easier. So that's the drive system right there. But the way it works is it actually senses three things. Speed, how fast the bike is going right here with a standard, you know, magnet passing that chainstay sensor. And then in here you've got a torque sensor and a cadence sensor. So it uses all three of those signals and it measures them like 1,000 times per second, and then it activates or deactivates the motor. So it's one of the most responsive systems on the market right now, and that really shows. And you know, for a performance bike, that's really critical. You want to be able to start and stop immediately and have it feel smooth. And this thing also has shift detection. So when you're using the motor, you know, it's putting extra strain on the chain, but when you're shifting gears, it can tell. It senses like you're letting up, and it eases the motor off so you aren't mashing your gears with those 11 gears back there. So it's just a sweet system. So to turn it on, you hit that power button, and then you use this breakout button pad to navigate between different levels of pedal assist, of which there are 4. You'll note that it's mounted like with a special mounting piece like right here at the top of the stem, at like this head cap here, which is unique. Most of the time it's mounted like right here on the left handlebar, so you can reach it without taking your hand off. But in this case, with the drop bars, that just wasn't possible, so they put it here in the center, so you might have to reach or maybe even take your hand off. The good thing is you really don't have to look down to know what's going on. There are only 4 levels of assist. There's no throttle. You just click and you can hear it. So it's tactile, and that's, I don't know, I think it's very intuitive once you've ridden it a little bit. So anyway, the display shows you your miles per hour by default. You can change it to kilometers per hour, battery level, and a bunch of different other mode screens. So right now it's showing average speed, trip time, odometer, trip distance, clock, max speed, and range. Range is the coolest thing to me personally, because it changes based on the level that you set first for pedal assist. So right now we're in turbo. It says, hey, you could go about 22 miles on this battery pack. If I go down to eco, well, now it says you can go about 60 miles, and this isn't completely charged. So that's awesome. So it's telling me, you know, let's say I'm way out on a trail, I'm like 40 miles from home, and I'm in turbo mode. I've only got 22-mile range on that battery. Well, I don't want to get stuck, you know, lugging this thing around. I'm going to arrow down to, let's see, Tour maybe? Tour is going to give me 32 miles. Okay, well, maybe I'll do Tour for a while, and then I'll go down to Eco. You know, it's just awesome how this is set up. And the display, just like the battery, is removable. See that? There's like this lever, slide it right off. So if you did have to leave this at a bike rack or something, which I don't know if I'd recommend that, just take it inside. It's so light, you know. You could take the display off, and it actually has its own little battery inside, so you can kind of mess with it on its own. And then what I love about this design for 2015 is lights. So there's this light button, and you've got this like 60 lux light in the front. It's got 2 LEDs right here shining to the side, and one really bright one in the middle with a reflector. And it turns with you. See that? It's connected to the fork, not the head tube right there. And then you've got this rear light, and it's got these like plastic steps inside. It's like a light tube, and so it shines at all angles, and it even shines up onto the seat, the bottom of the seat, which is black, so I don't know if that does much. But it's cool. It's neat to have those integrated, and they run off of the main battery pack, so you don't have to worry about replacing batteries and, you know, forgetting to turn them off, that kind of thing. It's just a beautiful setup. The Haibikes, I think they're all like really neat looking and stuff, and you've got this interesting drop down right here with the rear seat stays. But especially with those lights and stuff, it's just wonderful. It's really, really cool. And this one does come in several different sizes. So you've got 50 centimeter, 53 centimeter, 56 centimeter, 59, and 62 centimeter. So 5 different sizes to really make this thing fit you as a rider and be comfortable, which is key. I think that's about it. So it might be time for a ride test on this thing, and you can kind of hear the motor operating and get a sense for what it looks like up close. There's that kickstand again. Let's race this delivery guy maybe. There we go. We caught up to him pretty fast, 20 miles per hour. 24 miles per hour. This thing goes up to 28. Pretty awesome. But you know, you hear it vibrating. Not a whole lot of suspension or anything on this. There you go. Woo! So that's the Haibike XDURO Race. First e-bike I've seen with those drop bars. Tons of fun to ride. I love, you know, road biking in general. And having that extra boost is gonna, you know, if you're kind of a weekend warrior type and you wanna like keep up with your friends, this will totally do it. And it makes a little bit of noise, but you know, not really a whole lot. It's gonna help you up those hills if you have knee issues, fight the wind, or maybe just reach further distances. You wanna go for a big loop and enjoy the scenery, but you're concerned about those hills and that kind of takes the fun out of it, or maybe you have asthma or something. Like, this thing is awesome. You know, and I love e-bikes in general, but when you have something like this that can blend in so nicely, and I think people can really appreciate like the beauty and just the thought that went into it. It's a sweet bike. So yeah, for the full specs on this with pictures and other Haibike reviews, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com.